Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. We are back. We took a week off because Wade decided that going to Disney World with his family was more important than the Golden Squeeze podcast. I don't know if I agree with that decision, but here we are.
Golden Squeeze.
Now it's time to talk some good old-fashioned wrestling. It was a busy week in the wrestling world, and let's start off with talking about Monday Night Raw. The show kicked off with Drew McIntyre cutting a promo and a kilt one more time, going off on Seth and Cody and everything that's irking him right now. His promo is pretty good. Drew's doing some pretty good promo work right now. He's decent on the mic, much better than he was when he was with a three-man band with Jinder and Heath Slater. But
I missed them.
Yeah. The amount of steroids that group took to get their bodies to where they are right now. I appreciate Heath just staying au natural, but it looks like that Drew and Jinder ate the old Drew and Jinder and turned it into 100% muscle. So good on them. But it was a decent promo. It was a good promo. Rollins came out, just your average fare for the beginning of Monday Night Raw, getting ready for the build-up to WrestleMania. Seth, there's yelling back and forth. I mean, there's nothing really special to it. I don't think it really built all that much, but Seth talked about how all of Drew's wins recently have been the result of some interference from somebody from the bloodline when Drew was trying to indicate that he couldn't stand the bloodline, but Seth reminded him that Solo and Jey were the reasons that he was able to secure a number of wins over the past week, and 100% true, everything that he said. Not saying that Drew asked for the help, but regardless of whether he asked for it or not, he got it, and it was more to thwart the person that he was going up against than it was to help Drew, but it is what it is. There was nothing real special about it, but it was good work on the mic from both gentlemen.
You know, and I saw something earlier where they're talking about, I think it was a Bleacher Report article about one of the biggest losers this year so far in 2024 was Rollins' title. Not Rollins, but the title, and how it's almost an afterthought in the way it's being presented, and with, you know, the focus being on the tag match, and then the way it's presented with McIntyre. But, you know, it's I think that's all by design. And at this point, whether, you know, you'll agree with that, with, you know, a title almost being diminished at the expense of, you know, more ticket sales, agree, disagree with it, but at the end of the day, it's still a business. And unfortunately, injuries made them had to kind of stop on a dime and win. And I love Drew McIntyre. I think his work has been phenomenal, and I think it's great that he has a chance to get the title in front of fans, as opposed to last time, which should have been a shining moment against Brock Lesnar. And, you know, obviously the pandemic.
Who?
Against
who?
Who did I say? Oh yeah. Oh no, we're not allowed to say his name. Yes, Brock Lesnar. Yes, that was 2020. So yeah. Past reference. So
it's funny because WWE 2K24 logic is they took the ability to play as Brock Lesnar out of the game, but what they didn't take out of the game was Brock Lesnar. So the computer can be Brock Lesnar. It's just you can't be Brock Lesnar, which makes absolutely no sense to me. If you're going to try to wash him out of the history, don't just piss people off by saying, "Oh, you can't be him." Only the computer can be him. That's funny to me.
Did you send me the reel, or did I just happen upon it recently when, obviously, before the lawsuit and everything came to light, that Triple H was doing an interview, and he specifically said, when you talk about Mount Rushmores, and he said Brock Lesnar.
Did he? I mean,
It
I'm
has to
sure that
be.
was before. He's not going to
Oh,
say that.
no. It 100% was. I can't even remember it was dated. Like it had, I think, the date when I saw the reel. Because, me and you have discussed that previously, but I just, it's one of those things. Yeah. I mean, obviously not to the magnitude of, apples and oranges. I mean, well, most people would say apples and oranges in comparison with the whole him and Benoit thing. But at the end of the day, from a wrestling and match standpoint, there's a lot of people who feel that way about him. And but yeah, they'll, at least for the time being, they'll continue to write him off. But anyways, with that said, going back to the original point, I think McIntyre deserves that high billing regardless, and I think it's well deserved. But at the end of the day, we all know that for night one, Rock and Roman in a tag match with Rollins and Cody is going to generate more mainstream buzz than McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. Agree with it or disagree with it? It's a fact. And when you, which would not have been the case, had it been CM Punk still around, I don't think this tag match is happening at all. But
I tend to agree with you. But have they already announced that the tag match will main event night one?
It's got to, doesn't it? I don't know if they've officially announced it, but doesn't it have to? I mean, because if The Rock's not wrestling on night two, surely it has to main event.
But The Rock's going to be involved in the main event of night two.
Not necessarily.
I think yes, necessarily. I
understand
what the stipulation they put in place.
The Rock said he would have a contract signed, Josh.
Well, we'll talk more about that once we talk about SmackDown. I got a lot to say about the Rock's appearance on SmackDown on Friday. But on to the next match. It was Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan battling it out. It was actually a very good match. I think that Liv is a very good performer, and Becky's obviously a very good performer as well. They put on a good little scrap, and Lynch obviously got the victory. No surprise there. And you had Ripley hit the ring to confront her Mania opponent, and Morgan is becoming more and more unhinged every week. Curious to see exactly where they're going to go with this for WrestleMania purposes, but I think that Liv deserves some spot. They haven't announced anything for Liv yet for Mania, have they?
That's correct. They have not.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm still curious to see exactly what they're going to do with Liv, because I don't think they're going to make it a triple threat match, and I don't think that they're going to use it to set something up at Backlash or something along those lines. So I don't know exactly how they're going to get to a point that makes Liv's involvement make sense, but I'm sure that we'll find out maybe next week or the week after.
Did Nia come out for this?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I'm gonna check my notes. I don't remember Nia coming out. No, Nia did not come out for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess if they wanted to go the triple threat direction, I mean, it could be justified in terms of, the injury happened against the Eradicator, didn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that when Liv got hurt? So, you've got that built-in angle. But I agree. There's got to be they keep putting Liv in these good matches, and and the performance has justified it. She, I think, has only got, I liked her beforehand, but I think she's only gotten better timing and everything wise since she's returned. So she's definitely, she definitely just didn't sit around just, doing nothing. She definitely worked at it and came back even better. But yeah, I agree with you. There's got to be something in play here that is going to lead to some type of high profile singles match, or maybe even they pull the trigger on a triple threat. But I mean, I personally think Rhea and Becky sells itself.
Well, here's my issue with a triple threat. One, what's Nia doing? Why is she involved in this? And then two, they've got enough multi-person matches right now for WrestleMania. I don't.
Yeah.
Is there a one-on-one match that's definitely one-on-one other than Drew and Rollins?
Jimmy and Jey.
Oh, Jimmy and Jey. Okay. They've got a ladder match for the tag titles. Apparently, they have the main event possibly for night one, which has already escaped me. Cody and Rollins versus Rock and Reigns. Yeah. They're gonna have triple threat with Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Logan Paul, I think.
You think there's any chance that's going to be... No, they've got to defend the title. Yeah. I was going to say, you think there's any chance of a tag match with his brother, with Jake?
Nah, I don't think so anymore. Okay. I thought so originally. I don't think so anymore. I think it'll be a triple threat. But it's just a lot of multi-person matches.
I know one. I know another one. AJ and LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's going to be a good match.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll get to that later. I know, but yeah, I'm excited about that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think Nick Aldis after that announced that about the tag team ladder match for Damian Priest and Finn Balor's titles. So over the next few weeks, I guess they'll all be battling it out to figure out what teams are going to go up against them in that ladder match. The six-pack challenge.
How many teams are going to be in the ladder match total at WrestleMania?
6.
Oh, there's going to be 6 teams at WrestleMania?
It's a 6-pack challenge. Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you meant to see who was going to... I got you.
That'll be fun to figure out who those other teams are going to be. But that's a lot of people in one ring. That's going to be a lot of people in a ladder match. Yeah. But, it's a good way of getting people on the show. I'm always a proponent of getting as many people on the show as possible. So we'll see how that goes. I'm sure that whoever they get in it, it's going to be good teams. If there's one thing that WWE knows how to do, it's produce a ladder match. So
yes,
I'm sure there'll be some awesome spots, and I'm sure it'll be fun.
Have they announced them yet?
No.
Any of the teams?
On SmackDown, there was a qualifying match, which we'll get to a little bit later. I think that might be it.
Okay, but nothing on Raw.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. And then we jumped to Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae defeating Dupree and who was even her partner? I've already Nile.
Was it Ivy Nile?
Yeah. It was okay. It was a throwaway match. There wasn't really much to it.
What, if I read right, was the whole point of that setting up a LeRae heel turn?
Yeah, but who cares?
I mean, I'm just asking. Is that what? Weren't there some comments made about a dead mother or something?
That is what it's setting up, and Johnny Gargano. I apologize, but I just don't care. I don't care about Candice LeRae at all. I mean, she's fine. Don't get me wrong, she's fine, but she doesn't move the needle. She's never going to be somebody who's going to be up in the main event scene. I mean, she's fine in the role that she's in, but she's just, there's something about her. She doesn't have it. I prefer her husband over her, but she's fine. It was a throwaway. Yay. Okay. Yes. Candice LeRae heel turn coming. Yay.
Just making sure that our 4 listeners know what happened, okay?
Yeah. Honey, Candice LeRae's going to turn heel. Oh. Now, the next segment was what, the big talking point from this Monday Night Raw, and it was Cody Rhodes' interview with Michael Cole, where he left his emotions on his sleeve, talking about his father and his mother, and pretty much just gave all the ammunition possible for The Rock to tear him down later on in the week. But, Cody, despite his lisp, he is great on the mic. He's always passionate. He's always believable, which is probably the most difficult thing for a lot of the people on the card. It's one of the things that's Liv's biggest issue, in my opinion, is her mic work is not the best. She's getting better, but it's still not that great, not that believable. Cody's always believable. I don't think that he's ever left the ring once where I thought, he was acting. It always feels he's speaking with just pure emotion, and every single time he talks, you can tell his love for the business, and that was no different here. But he poked fun at the Rock being his boss and how it felt. He said, "If the Rock is my boss, and I'm not sure that he is, but if he is, it feels great to slap the boss." And that was always one of the number one tropes when Vince was Brock's friend. The number one of the number one things about Stone Cold, and the reason why everyone loved him is because he always was the guy that got to hit his boss, and he represented the everyman. So when you talk about slapping your boss, it goes towards the everyman. And I know that appeals to all the Cody crybabies out there who love him, but it was a great job on the mic. They're doing a great job of selling this convoluted storyline that it's a great storyline, a little confusing at times, but still great work by Triple H to pivot. And we can argue until we're blue in the face whether or not all this stuff was the original plan or whether or not it was the result of the Cody Crybaby movement, similar to the Yes movement and Kofi Mania, but it was a great promo. Great promo.
I still think the plan all along was this: The Rock trying to take the spot, Cody changed his mind, all that. Now, obviously, the whole thing with Seth, that to me was the big pivot because they lost Punk.
Mm-hmm.
They lost that main event for night one with Punk, and that's when they pivoted.
Yeah.
And did that because I'm sorry, man. I just don't see with what they've been building up to in this dedication to the long-term storytelling, and even The Rock himself saying last year that the reason they didn't do it is because they wanted a proper story to go along with it. And you mean to tell me that him showing up on day one or whatever the event was called and saying, sitting, The Rock likes to sit at the head of the table, that's enough to interfere with this year-long build to this rematch? I mean, when the guy himself is going on saying, "Hey, the proper story wasn't in place," it's wouldn't be the first time I've been wrong, as we all know, as all four people know. But, yeah, I just don't think there's any way that part wasn't planned. The pivot, in my opinion, was the tag match. They needed that star power, or they needed that draw that they lost of Punk versus Rollins. And as no disrespect to Drew, I love this character pivot of McIntyre, and I love it. And as a fan, hey, that'd be fine with me to main event night one, McIntyre versus Rollins.
Yeah,
I have no issue with that at all. But again, this isn't just about us nerds. It's about a business and filling up, of an NFL stadium 2 nights, not just 1, 2 nights, and getting that mainstream attention too. So but time will tell. I'm sure at some point when this is all said and done, they'll divulge what happened and what exactly was pivoted and what was planned, not planned, and all that good stuff. But overall, you enjoyed the promo. I read that, it was well received, and I agree with you. Cody comes across as very natural, and 100% agree. You can tell his love for the business every time he talks.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was great. And it set up the rest of the week, which we'll get into a little bit later. But let's move on to some nice harmless fun. Well, harmless for Damian Priest, but R-Truth versus Damian Priest. And, R-Truth, I think, has, in this most recent Judgment Day run, has solidified himself as a Hall of Famer. And when his shoes are left in the ring, I hope they do an angle where he leaves starts wearing a hat, and he leaves his hat and his shoes in the ring like the Undertaker did, or boots in the ring like the Undertaker did, and then walks out because he's earned it. He's a great hand. Got his ass beat by Damian Priest, and there's not much to this either, so there's not much to talk about there. But kudos to R-Truth for anytime you can get time on Raw or SmackDown, anytime you can get a match, it's good on you, and make the most of it because the fans love him. He's impossible not to like, I think. He's hilarious. He's talented, and what he can do with his body at his age, in a sense, obviously he's not LeBron, but from a body perspective, the way he moves in his mid-40s is it's pretty good because he can still move real well and be able to do this jump and do the splits and all that stuff. I got hurt sitting in this chair to do this podcast, and he's out there in front of millions and millions of R-Truth fans.
Very nice.
Just doing things that are inspiring. So good on Truth. Good on Truth.
I always, when he does that, like that ice skating spinny thing in the air, you know what I'm talking about? That's impressive.
Yeah.
Triple axel. There we go. I was going to say triple Indy, but triple axel.
He calls it the triple truth. He does not.
Yeah. Have they said anything about McDonough and Dirty Dom for Mania yet?
I don't think so. No.
Dude, you know what? You know what I could see happening? Here's my bold prediction for the night. There's going to be an impromptu tag match. It's going to be Dirty Dom and McDonough versus R-Truth in a quick squash with his childhood hero, John Cena.
That would be good.
I could see that happening. I was going to say maybe Truth and Cena in that six-packs match, but I don't think Cena at this point with Hollywood coming back up.
He's not doing a ladder match.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
absolutely not. But no, I could. That's my bold prediction. John Cena's gonna get with Truth in a
or he
tag.
Could get with DX too and do some sort of 3-on-3.
Oh yeah, he keeps talking about
him and DX.
All right. So what was next?
And the next and last was the gauntlet match.
I heard that was good.
It was good. Started out with Ricochet and McDonough.
How did McDonough get in that match? I just and I like him, dude. The way he just throws caution to the wind. He doesn't get enough credit, in my opinion. That, and I don't know if we talked about this on the show or just privately, but that RKO he took at War Games was insane.
Yeah, it was. That was insane. The timing that it took from both men to make that happen seems very unsafe. But but good on them for no one dying because that very well could have happened if that had gone wrong.
Yeah, I was just surprised that they didn't put Dirty Dom in that match over McDonough. That just
they have something else for him.
I guess so. We'll see.
They got something. What it is? I don't know. Probably something on the pre-show. Maybe because you can't. I don't think you can put Dom and McDonough on the main card. I think that's a nice pre-show match right there.
But dude, Dom's got so much heat. They got to bring him out there to get booed out of that. Oh, and God, dude, and in Philly, oh, dude, he's got to be on the main show.
Yeah, but not against McDonough. No one, McDonough and Candice LeRae should go hang out because I don't need either. It's something about McDonough's face that pisses me off. I don't know what it is, but yeah.
Dom will be on the main show to get booed out of the place at the very least. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, yes, he's going to get booed in some way, from or fashion. He's going to get booed.
It's going to be bad.
It's going to be bad. Yeah. Bad for him. Good for us. Did you see the videos of Dom's wedding?
I did not.
So Dom got married while you were away, and
I must have not been here to get the invite in the mail.
To his childhood sweetheart. I saw these on TikTok, so they weren't on Raw, they weren't on SmackDown or anything like that. But Dom got incessantly booed at his wedding, and it was amazing to watch. So when this is over with, go check out Dom trying to give a speech at his wedding, and everybody at his wedding just booing him. It was great. He had Priest there, he had Ripley there. Finn Balor was not there.
Really?
Yeah, Finn Balor was, well, let me rephrase that. Finn Balor was not in any of the videos or pictures that I saw. So I'm not going to say he wasn't there. I'm going to say that I did not see him, and nobody else on social media saw him either. The only, and I'm sure, but also I didn't see Rey Mysterio either. But, you know, I'm sure Rey was there. Well, you know, he's old school. Maybe he didn't go to his son's wedding. He's old school.
He is old school.
Son, I can't. We don't like each other in kayfabe. I can't go to your wedding.
I mean, he did get up and walk out of his dad's Hall of Fame speech for the integrity of the storylines. So
yeah,
that was amazing. Still, by the way,
yeah. But going back to the gauntlet match, so it was Ricochet, McDonough, Bronson Reed, Shinsuke, Sami Zayn, and Chad Gable. So Zayn ultimately secured the victory, which now allows him to go on and fight Gunther at WrestleMania. Who did you think would have benefited most from a win here?
Benefited.
Actually, let me ask you, this might be a different answer. Who do you think should have won, and who do you think would have benefited the most?
I thought the plan all along was going to be eventually for a Gable Gunther rematch. And I was surprised when I read that Sami Zayn won. I think, trust me, a lot of them could have benefited. I mean, obviously Ricochet could have benefited from a victory there. McDonough, all of them. Bronson Reed. I think Bronson Reed's going to be Bronson. You can tell they're high on him. I think he's going to be fine going forward. And man, I just think I was very surprised. And listen, I know that, you know, Sami Zayn's a great worker and all this stuff, but I have an issue with that. Especially, I have an issue with it if he wins at Mania.
No, he cannot be. He's over. Everyone loves Sami Zayn. There's no reason to give him that title. He doesn't need it. He's not the person that should be dethroning Gunther. It needs to be. Gable could have done it. Pretty much anybody else that fought in that match could have done it and used that title more than Zayn. Zayn's the only person who doesn't need it.
I think, and aside, yes, I agree with everything you said. But aside from that, Zayn has been struggling and talking about needing this win and finally got a couple of wins in a row. Is that who you were supposed to believe is going to dethrone Gunther? Somebody who finally got off the schneid and finally got a couple wins after having like not a so great year post Mania last year? And that's my issue. I mean, I love Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn's great. Talk about loving the business. You can tell every time he talks too. However, I think they're bringing like prestige to this mid-card title in particular. With Gunther's an old school guy and just looking unstoppable. I feel like I think creatively, the issue I have is that they didn't do for that title what they have done for Roman Reigns's. They've got a guy in Cody who they have been building back up for a year. Like the 2 victories in a year over Brock. And then the one time he lost, he didn't tap out. They didn't have him tap out. He got the rub from Brock Lesnar. And then, winning all these other matches, overcoming all the obstacles, winning the Rumble again. And obviously I know they're not going to have the Rumble winner go and fight Gunther. I get that. I just don't like the people that had in this match, to me, I just don't think should be the ones to beat him. And that's why I don't think he should lose at Mania.
Well, the one to beat him is going to be Damian Priest. So whether you like it or not, he is still going to cash that in because...
Okay, and I would, in terms of building somebody up...
Build him up.
And I think they've done a good job, with the tag titles and singles stuff here of late. And I can already tell 3 of our viewers are going to be like, well, hey, he got beat by Bad Bunny. But again, that was a street fight. And that was old school booking, where the celebrity...
We all know what that was. Yeah, we all know what that was.
But I enjoyed that. That was awesome. That was great. But if he does win, I'm not going to like that either. I'm not going to like a cash in to end that type of reign at all.
Well, how did you feel when Seth Rollins cashed in against Brock and Roman?
That was different. This wasn't a historic title reign. That wasn't a historic title reign.
It wasn't.
But that's my thing, Josh. The way they have built up this reign and who they have holding it, this old school guy doing it, and I think it's awesome. I have no problem with him holding that belt for another few years and presenting him like a Reigns because I enjoy his matches. And he's consistent. He's doing it on TV weekly.
He's earned more, though.
I know. I understand that.
He's ready. He's ready to take that next step.
I understand that. But with that said, also, business standpoint, they've got that big show in Germany coming up. They're not taking that title off of him. I don't think. I think that's another reason that he's going to continue that reign until at least through that show in Germany. And I'm thinking the reign may come to an end at SummerSlam. If not next year's Mania, but I'm thinking, and if he loses in Europe, I think it's going to be to Sheamus, a returning Sheamus. I was thinking Sheamus was going to come back, and I would have no problem with Sheamus holding that title and winning it at Mania. But I mean, obviously, he didn't come back for Mania. I don't know if he had a setback, or I thought from everything I'd read that he probably should have been back by now.
Yeah.
But and again, man, that's not a knock on Sammy or any of those guys, but just the way that they have been, all the ones in that match have been booked over the course of the last year, I just don't. I would have an issue with Gunther losing to them.
Yeah.
Just because of the booking of Gunther compared to anyone that was in that six pack challenge.
Yeah. And one thing that we actually forgot to mention was, and pretty important actually, was Jey Uso and his promo challenging his brother to a one-on-one match. And it was a very short promo, which is something that there's a lot of people in that company who could learn from. Brevity is sometimes lost on a lot of superstars in the WWE, but Jey called out his brother. So we're getting Jimmy versus Jey at WrestleMania. I am sure that this is a child. There's going to be a lot of childhood dreams happening at WrestleMania with The Rock being in the same ring as Roman, Cody finishing his story, Jimmy versus Jey, Paul Heyman getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. There's a lot that's going to be, in Philly. There's going to be a lot that's going to be going on at WrestleMania for all the members of the Bloodline. Still curious how Solo's going to play a role in this, but I'm sure that he's going to be a key cog and something happening at WrestleMania.
Agreed.
But it's going to be a big weekend for the Bloodline. But I would be remiss if I did not go back and mention Jey's challenge to Jimmy for a match that we've known was going to happen for months, but finally made official. Jimmy versus Jey, WrestleMania 40.
Well, we won't know if it's official until you give your SmackDown recap.
Oh, yeah. Or maybe it isn't.
Dun, dun, dun.
Squeeze. All right. So now on to NXT, which I was proud of myself because I watched it the Tuesday before last while you're out of town, and I did not watch this one. But now I know a lot more people on the NXT roster than I would have known 2 weeks ago. So when you speak about this subject, I will not be as ignorant as I was previously. So what did you think of NXT? I think it started off with a triple threat qualifier between LWO and OTM.
And that was a good match, and LWO ended up winning. And I don't know if you're up to speed or saw any of the results when they had the disastrous scripts reveal. and then now he's not wearing a mask and he's with OTM, and yeah, that whole thing was just a complete debacle. But anyways,
does he still go by scripts?
Yeah, they were like accompanied by scripts, and like
that's an awful name to start off with. There's a reason why they gave him a 61 in WWE 2K24.
And but no, very good match. Man, dude, there were a few spots though that I don't know if it was camera angles or just me like overthinking it, but they could have ended badly. Like there was one spot they did where they did like a one-handed suplex spot off of the turnbuckle, and it looked like they were close to not fully getting the LWO guy all the way over, and it was looking like he was about to crash his head straight into the canvas. And I was like, maybe it's just the angle I was looking at. But the fact a spot like that didn't even get a replay, I was like, okay, maybe there's a reason that didn't get a replay.
They normally don't show replays when there's a legitimate
I mean, it was close, but they completed it. And then there was another spot that you gotta check it out where one of the guys like jumped on him from inside the ring to the spot where he jumped over, and you could see the two guys on the outside had to like hurry and shuffle over to get to the right spot so they could get hit.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I got to watch LWO because this was a qualifying match that they ultimately watched, and that qualifying match was for a match on SmackDown. And if you're telling me that happened in the match on NXT, I will tell you that also happens in the match on SmackDown, where they overshot it and went over.
Okay.
And they had to reach back and catch him like this. And I'm thinking, just let him go. Like, if he's going to jump that far and mess it up, you can't make it look so unrealistic where you are grabbing backwards to grab this man. Like, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But all in all, was it a good match? Or?
Oh yeah, no, it was a very good match. Very good match. No, it was good. Again, and enjoyable. Advancing. They're going on to the qualifying match to see if they go against the Wolf Dogs. And who made an appearance. They've got, I call it their private balcony, as they were back out there again over watching the ring. And they showed up to watch the match. But yeah, it was a good match. Which one was next?
It was Roxanne Perez defending the NXT
say,
Women's Championship.
All right, yeah. She had valid points saying that she was injured and that nobody beat her for the title, and instead of I always botch the pronunciation of Valkyrie, giving her a shot. She was focusing on the Kabuki Warriors and tag team stuff, and that's why she attacked her. She got tired of, just sitting around and waiting and just wanted to come and take it. Turned on the NXT faithful, class. So I guess she's full blown heel now.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it was decent. Again, not the most convincing in terms of tone, but in terms of the flow of the promo and everything making sense and all that, yeah, no, she'll be fine. She's 22 years old, which I did not know she was that young until she mentioned it in the promo. And I mean, and like she said, she's 22 and she's already held tag team gold, the singles gold. I think one of their tournaments she won already, and she's great in the ring, and I mean all that'll come later. The rest of the stuff on the mic, I'm sure, because she's already good, no pauses or anything, and everything flows good. And yeah, it was good. It was perfectly acceptable. It was good. Everything made sense. She was saying so. It was solid. It was good.
Good. Then they moved on to Lexis King, and I'm glad that the person they were facing was Mr. Stone, since I don't know who these people are. I would think that Lexis might be a woman. But Lexis King versus Mr. Stone.
It was a squash essentially, and then who came and made the save? And I apologize. I'm still trying to get all these storylines down. Who's with
Wagner ran out.
Yep. Wagner came and prevented the beatdown from going down any further. But and I touched on this last time. I love Lexis King's entrance on the throne coming in sideways and on the track. It just makes me laugh. I don't know why. But I'll tell you what I like the most. His finishing move. It started with the setup with knees to the back of the head, and then he hit his finisher, and there was no kick out. I was like, holy cow, he had knees to the back of the head that did not lead to a kick out. I was so excited. It was like, wow, that's awesome. So I give that 5 squeezes just for that.
Okay.
But it was a squash match, but no. But
little things
like, yes.
4 is the most you can get on squeezes. I mean, 5 is the most you can get on squeezes.
Yes,
you can only get 5.
It is. Yes.
You can only get 5.
but I did appreciate that no kicking out of knees to the back of the head followed by a finishing maneuver.
Yes.
Loved it.
Absolutely.
Loved it.
And we followed that up with the North American Championship match of Oba Femi versus Brooks Jensen.
All right. So they've been building up to this one for a little bit. And Brooks's buddy Briggs. I think, is it Scott Briggs?
Josh Briggs.
Josh Briggs. You know, he came out. He was watching backstage and then came out and but Obi is, dude, that guy's a monster, man. Very strong dude. Just in Brooks Jensen, you know, he's a big dude, but you know, Obi was just tossing him around with ease. And anybody watching knew that Obi was going to win, and he did. Before the match,
6'6", 310.
Oh,
that's a big boy.
Oh, he's a monster of a man. And before the match, before he walked out to the ring, Dijak confronted Obi and introduced himself to him, but then the stare down from Briggs afterwards. So it's either going to be a triple threat, but if it's a singles match at the NXT portion of WrestleMania weekend, I would definitely have to lean towards Dijak versus Obi for the North American title, but very well based on the interaction at the end could be Briggs thrown in there as well for a triple threat. I think that could be a very good match. Briggs is a big boy too, and you know, Dijak, you know, could hold all that together as well. He's a good veteran, solid veteran, and either way, I think it'd be fun. Either Dijak versus Obi, or else the triple threat. But I'm thinking it's going to go the triple threat route. But good, you know, it was good for what it was, setting up, you know. But that thing with Jensen's been building for a few weeks, with him wanting the match with Obi and them trying to say, man, you don't know what you're getting yourself into, but him standing his ground and doing it and getting the crap kicked out of him. So, but it was good. It was good for what it accomplished, what it needed to.
Good. And then they moved on to Gigi Dolan and Ariana Grace.
All right, so the stipulation was if Gigi lost, she had to be taught by Grace how to be a lady. And so
they're going back to the Lacey Evans, how to be a lady type thing. Okay. All right.
And so during the match, the referee was trying to stop not Gigi. She's trying to stop Grace from doing something in there, and she kicked Gigi between the legs, and the ref didn't see it. And then so when she recovered, she just straight up racked her between the legs and got disqualified. So Gigi lost and now has to spend the next week.
Honestly say I don't know if I've ever seen that in a women's match before.
Yeah. And it happened because I was confused too, because I had missed something. I was like, what did I didn't know what had just happened then. And yeah.
Does that hurt them?
Yes. So I'm told. So,
okay.
But
all right.
But yeah. But yeah, it was, so I'm sure there'll be some shenanigans ensuing with the turning Gigi into a lady over the next week. So yeah. But I mean, it was, but in the build up to that, it was a decent match. It was fine. It was good.
Okay. Good. And then moving on to Kiana James and Izzy Dame versus Thea Hall and Fallon Henley.
Kalani Jordan was supposed to be Thea's partner, and then she was laid out in the locker room, so she came down. It was going to be basically a 2-on-1 handicap match essentially, but then Fallon Henley hit the ring and partnered up with her, and then who came out? JC Jane came out, and there's that ongoing storyline with them saying, Chase, you were losers, and but her whole Thea trying to impress her and wanting her to be her friend, but JCJ ended up costing her the match, essentially, or them the match. And then she said she's going back to the old Thea and was sprinting around the ring. And then JCJ ended up leaving. And, that's going to lead to a match with them down the line. But the tag match itself, it was pretty good. It was, I enjoyed it. It was good, short, sweet, to the point. Just the continuing storyline there with Thea and JC Jane, but Thea's finally breaking away from her and not worried about her anymore and going back to her old self. And so I'm sure that will lead to a match at some point soon.
Okay. All right.
So,
now moving on to the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, a.k.a. Sean Spears, versus the man who ended Big E's career in Ridge Holland. What'd you think of that match?
I've got several issues with this, man. Just number one, they made this big deal, these vignettes and stuff about Spears coming back. And then this whole thing wasn't even the last segment. I mean, granted, I know the bigger thing was the last segment, but still, it all felt weird with all these vignettes for him coming back and what they were trying to do, and then Spears, like, they had a chair in the ring, and Spears clearly, it was over in the corner, and then he hit the C4 on the chair in the corner, and one of the announcers, not Booker T, the other announcer was like...
Vic Joseph.
Yeah. Vic Joseph was saying that it was unintentional, the move on the chair, trying to justify, I guess, why he wasn't disqualified for doing the move on the chair. But Holland was kind of snapping a little bit and like slammed him through the table on the outside, but then hesitated at one point, which ended up costing him the match. And Spears at the end was on the ramp sitting there clutching the chair, saying that he did it and accomplished what he wanted to and all that stuff. It was just, dude, this whole thing is just, it's just not doing anything for me. This whole thing, the fans aren't invested in Ridge Holland, the story they're trying to tell with that. It's not working. The crowd's not really into him. And there's going to be benefits of having Spears back there. I think Spears is a good wrestler, and hopefully when this is done, they'll be able to move him on either to a better feud or something that can help put over somebody else. Because, Spears will have good matches. And this was a good match. I got to say that. The match itself was good. It was just, the ending didn't really make a lot of sense. But, and I don't know. But it was fine. But hopefully this will be over soon.
Yeah.
I'm just not buying the attempt at the Bray Wyatt trying to coax John Cena into beating him down thing. It's not working here.
Yeah.
I'm just not buying it, man. And the whole thing, like I said, with the vignettes and the big return and not even main eventing a Tuesday NXT show, I don't know how I feel about that.
And it's not even that it didn't main event. And again, I don't know anything about this, but there wasn't even a match that main evented. It was but moving on to that, it's Meta-4 interrupting Trick Williams' challenge to Carmelo Hayes.
Yes, and that now Trick's part was fine. The crowd is behind that guy 100%.
Well, they love his theme song. And,
yeah, I heard.
During The Rock's performance on SmackDown, the crowd was chanting "Wump that Trick" throughout. While The Rock was
it's whoop that trick.
Whatever it is. What's it from? It's from Hustle and Flow, from Terrence Howard's character. But good on him. Good on him for getting over. But yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
This was so Metaphor came out and he dispatched of a Noam Dar and the other guy, and then was it Lash Legend? I think went to hit him, and then he stopped her, and then did like a spin thing, and then she caressed his face, and then they started kissing in the middle of the ring. Him and her and Trick Williams. That but when Big Joseph said, "Booker, why you sweating?" I was laughing. It was awesome, dude.
Oh, Metaphor's again. I don't watch for viewers. I don't watch NXT, so I did not know that Metaphor was a viewer. I'm looking up Metaphor to see what that person looks like, only to find out that it's a stable, which which I did not know until this Google search.
Metaphor. Yeah, it's Noam Dar, I think Lash Legend, and man, I'm still trying to get up to speed on everything, but I don't remember the other two.
It's Oro Mensah and Jakara Jackson.
Okay, all right, but yeah, that whole thing, the crowd was eating it up, man, with the Lash Legend and the Trick kiss. Though it was good, dude. it was good.
Well, I plan on watching NXT on Tuesday.
Oh, wait.
So that in our next podcast, I'll be ready.
I forgot something. So they had vignettes with Dragunov and the Don for their title match, and the Don was at his restaurant, and they were all eating pasta, like.
You need a stereotypical Italian angle on some level.
Oh, it gets better. Oh, and the stereotypes kept on coming this week.
They had the gabagoo.
So Dragunov comes in there, and the Don tells the rest of the people at the table, the rest of the family, they can step aside, and Dragunov joins him at the table, and they're talking back and forth, and the Don's like, I apologize, or not responsible for what happens next. And then they come and get Dragunov, drag him away, and then they imply that they threw him in the trunk of a car. and so keep in mind, this guy's a Don and owns multiple businesses and this and that, but they got into a Hyundai sedan. And a nice looking Hyundai, but I was dying. I was like, okay, and then I was trying to justify it in my head and just like going way down, like trying to overthink this. Like, okay, well, maybe if it was an older Hyundai, so it didn't stick out, and if they were going to dump a body, maybe. But this was like a brand new black 4-door Hyundai sedan, and I was just like, okay, come on.
It's unsuspecting. You're not looking to think there's a body inside a Hyundai.
It was great. And then so later on, the car stops, they get Dragunov out of the trunk, and him and the Don are talking, and they're on a bridge. And he's like, I've brought a lot of people out here to this bridge, and I've left alone and all that. And he's like, that's not going to happen here. And, he's like, but you came to my club uninvited, so I had to teach you a lesson. And so they were just talking about the importance of the title and this and that. And Dragunov's like, hey, you got your businesses and all this. This title's all I've got. I'm not going anywhere without it. And he's like, good luck finding your way back home. And then he's like, I always find a way. And then the Don left, and it was just Dragunov on the bridge holding the title. And it was entertaining and, progressing the feud. But the thing with the Hyundai, just I thought it was
How dare you disrespect the Hyundai?
Oh, man. It was a nice car, don't get me wrong. But, I figured like they'd be in a limo or something if they were going to go with those, like, or at least have like an old school like 40s car with a driver or something, come and escort Dragunov away. But It was good, man. Overall, I thought it was a good show. Like
Good.
besides the couple of potential disasters in the opening match, I thought that the action was good. No like major botches or major timing issues that I saw. It was good week.
Good.
Just
Like I said, I plan on starting to watch some NXT, and I'll be watching it on Tuesday. Well, not on Tuesday, but I will be watching NXT at some point from Tuesday.
yeah.
All right. So before we go into Raw, did you have an opportunity?
You mean SmackDown?
Before we get into SmackDown, did you have an opportunity to see The Rock's video about Cody?
I know you posted it on the Golden Squeezes TikTok, but I have not watched the whole thing because when I saw
our most liked and our most viewed video.
I know it is, and I thought that was amazing. But when I first saw it, yeah, we're still down there, and I have not gone back and watched it. But I know wasn't he going off on Mama Rhodes and stuff?
He was commenting on mainly on the promo that Cody had cut on Raw and the emotion that Cody that we heralded. The Rock used it as as fodder for his 8-minute tirade about Cody being a crybaby and how he was proud of him for slapping him in the face at the previous SmackDown, but then to go turn around and then start crying on Monday Night Raw. Rox saw that as being embarrassing, and he had some choice words about it. Did you hear that there's a lot of sponsors who are not too happy with The Rock and the language that he has been using on Monday Night Raw and in his social media in the build-up to WrestleMania?
Well, at the end of the day, Netflix obviously didn't have a problem with the potential of this going on with the money they forked over. And at the end of the day, USA is losing Raw, and SmackDown is not going to be on Fox anymore. So I don't really think they care.
Yeah, well, The Rock commented knowing that the rumors were out there that people were not too happy with his language, and he said, well, I'm going to be me, and I'm going to be real. So good on you, Rock, especially since you're a board member at TKO, and who's going to fire you? Dana White? I don't know. But
a returning Vince?
You're fired! But
I hope that doesn't happen.
It's not. It was a good promo. The Rock is still clearly out of shape, but I'm glad that it was done inside a weight room. Hopefully it was done next to a treadmill, because he's going to have to get his cardio up if he's going to want to do anything inside this tag match, because I'm concerned he may not make it tonight too. So we'll see what happens there. But let's just go straight into SmackDown. It started off with The Rock coming out by himself to his Hollywood Rock theme song, which was
I did hear that,
which was great.
The Rock says
clearly had been talking to the Undertaker because it took him 15 minutes to get to the ring. He was barely moving. He went to a commercial break when he was coming down the ramp, and he had gone about this far. And
they didn't go to a commercial.
They did. I can only imagine what he was doing while they were actually out on commercial. He's just standing there, just staring as they're cheering. I had a lot of issues with this segment, though. My number one being is, what is The Rock's role right now? Because I was under the impression by the previous stints that he had inside that ring, calling people meth addicts and crackheads. And then he came out as a babyface, praising Memphis, saying how he got his start here. Big smile on his face, no insults to the crowd, saying how he loved in Memphis. He said, finally, The Rock is home. And it was like, it was like the Big Show out there. How he just went
no.
from heel to face just like that, and then mid 30-minute promo, by the way, that started the show by himself. Way too long. I do not understand why he would come out and start off with a babyface promo. I was waiting for the, I love that you are all the biggest pieces of trailer park trash, something like that. Something where he, starts off with the compliment sandwich, where he starts off with the compliment and then goes off to insult them. But it never happened. The closest thing that he had to a heel comment was talking about John Morant having a gun, which the fans of, it was hilarious, and the fans of Memphis booed that, but they booed it like boo, and then they kept cheering The Rock, and he was doing things to get cheers as opposed doing things to get boos. And I understand that fans, they booed him for a second because they thought that he was taking Cody's spot from him, and now they know that he's not. They're back to cheering The Rock. So I understand he's going to get cheered, but The Rock should not be saying things to get those cheers. They want to cheer him, that's fine, but he cannot come out there and say, finally, The Rock is home. You cannot say that. The way that he eviscerated the fans in the previous 2 weeks does not make any sense to me. That was my issue number one. Issue number two was just the length. It was entirely too long.
Yeah.
And this is not me saying I did not enjoy it. And I want to make sure that people understand that I'm going to enjoy The Rock. He's my childhood. I wasn't really that big of a Rock guy. I was always a Stone Cold guy. I like The Rock. I like him a lot. And I'm always going to enjoy The Rock. So this is not me saying I did not enjoy what he did up there. But that doesn't mean I'm not allowed to criticize The Rock. And to have him come out there and talk by himself for 30 minutes. Where was Roman? Well, Roman looks really skinny right now, especially in the face. His jawline looks a lot more chiseled. I only
like
say
mine.
this kind of. I only bring this up because I hope that there's not something wrong with his health to the point where he's been taking a large backseat, and I'm hoping, and I think I don't think it's health related. I think it's because it's to set up whatever's going to happen at WrestleMania. I think it's intentional, but he seems very little brother when The Rock's there. Obviously, when he grabbed his wrist and said, "I need you to acknowledge me," that was a little alpha. But outside of that, he's been in the background and just taking a backseat to The Rock. And so is everybody else in the bloodline. They just let him talk. And it's very few words coming from anybody else but him. But why is nobody else from the bloodline? Why is no one there? Why is Roman not there? Why was that not discussed? Or maybe it wasn't. I just didn't see it or hear it. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. It just didn't quite make sense to me, just the way that everything else has gone up to this point. Why The Rock would be out there by himself. Why he would be out there pandering to the crowd. And it just didn't sit well with me. Just from a logical perspective, it just wasn't logical to me, just based off of everything that's happened.
Yeah, and I read something where it almost looked like he was caught off guard at the reaction he was getting there. Like he wasn't getting booed as like the bad guy against Cody. Like they just loved him. But again, that's one of those things where I think I agree. At this point, you shouldn't be out there without the bloodline, because that's the thing. The little facial expressions from Roman Reigns looking uneasy with him out there. Paul Heyman looking, like concerned, looking at The Rock, and like him holding up the finger, and like The Rock, like Paul Heyman keeping an eye on Rock, and all those little interactions progressing, that unease between them and all that. I think it hurts not to have that build up there. And I agree. And I did not see this, but yeah, I mean, I think that's weird to go from eviscerating the fans in Utah and Texas and everywhere, to that. So yeah, like you said, hopefully. Now I know Rock had always been advertised for Memphis, but did they say on last week's SmackDown that the Bloodline was going to be in Memphis?
See, I don't remember. I just feel like you didn't. Do you need to advertise the Bloodline? I mean, even though that he's pretty much a part-timer, he at least shows up on SmackDown to cut a promo or say something. At least show his
Roman
face.
Reigns?
Yeah.
Oh, no. They've been advertising, like, at least what I've noticed, like, next week on SmackDown, Roman Reigns returns. And
well, what I'm saying is they shouldn't have to advertise. You shouldn't have to advertise the champion. He should be at every show. He should be at every SmackDown.
But he hasn't been. We all know that. But yes, but usually when he's not, though, like another member of the Bloodline is there, and I don't know if they're justifying it just being Rock opening the show. But yeah,
I also think it was the Rock's last one because he said he was going to be at the next 3, and I think that was 3 weeks ago. So I think this is the Rock's last one until WrestleMania, I believe, or at least the last one he was advertised at.
Yeah, he's got to be at the Go Home show. He's got to be. Because that's in Philly too, isn't it? Friday Night SmackDown's got to be in Philly. I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, you would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they said the Hall of Fame ceremony is immediately following SmackDown.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, and that'll be, I guess, where the Sixers play. Where do the Sixers play up there?
I don't know.
Yeah, well, whatever arena that is, I'm assuming that's where that's going to be. You gotta think he'll be there for that. I mean, because he'll be there anyways. He's got to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that is weird because I read something about him. Did he say something about Rhodes' mom and get into that stuff? Did he say anything about Cody?
But it was the way that he treated the crowd that was babyface-esque. He said a lot of heel things in the ring, which is what made it even weirder. But he brought out a belt and was talking about using the belt on Cody, and his mom's going to watch him use the belt. And he had a nice leather belt. You know how Cody brings out those leather belts, and it had the Brahma Bull on it, and on the inside it said "The People's Champ," and it was a nice belt. And he had a nice little case for it, and he took it out of the case, and I'm going to use this belt, and Mama Rhodes, you're going to watch me beat the living hell out of your son. And I mean, that was heel stuff, but I mean, it didn't go with the way that he was talking to the crowd. So he was playing two angles there, which just doesn't sit well with me, And even if it was the crowd giving him an overwhelming response, because they did give him an overwhelming response, I'm not going to deny that. But he's The Rock. This is not him and Hogan where they had to switch things up because of the response they were getting. This is a promo where you could have, with the crowd acting the way that he was, he's top 2 on the mic of all time, and he's probably not number 2. He can go out there and he could have eviscerated that crowd for the way that they were cheering him. He could have laid into them and he could have gotten the cheapest heat possible. He could have gotten the cheapest heat possible by just going after that Memphis crowd, but he didn't do it, which is fine. But the one thing that he did do, and this was intentional, had to have been, I know that you're not a TikTok guy, so you probably watch the ones that the Golden Squeeze posts, and you probably watch them begrudgingly because you're a fuddy-duddy. Don't want to watch your daughters think you're 59 years old. It's fine. But they...
Oh, I like the stuff you put up. I got to figure out how to make my own. But
there are memes going around, and that do hundreds of thousands of views. People are just posting them, and there's it's like I'm Darth Vader. I'm the final boss. I'm somebody else. I'm Voldemort from Harry Potter. I'm the final boss, and then it's always like a slideshow. In the last slide, And people with blue check marks. Everyone's posting these memes. It's Roman Reigns with his 2 belts. No, I'm the final boss. And that's a meme that's going around right now. The Rock called himself the final boss in the ring, knowing that this meme is going around of the entire TikTok community. And I'm talking, there's probably 5 billion, probably 1 billion of these memes going around, and of people saying that Roman Reigns is the final boss. And The Rock said in his promo that you messed up coming across the final boss, something along those lines. And for him to say that is the most obvious crack in the bloodline, that he called himself the final boss, knowing that everyone's calling Roman Reigns the final boss.
Maybe he was talking about Roman and not himself.
No, he was talking about himself, and he said it twice. And so it wasn't an accident. It was planned. And you can see him trying to usurp the power away from Roman Reigns and just chipping away at it. And I wish he had said that with Roman being there, because I would have loved to see another nervous tick from Roman just listening to The Rock, because every single word The Rock says, you can tell, is irritating the hell out of Roman Reigns. And it's going to be great. However they decide to tie this up, because right now I don't want to think about too much about what they're going to do, because I want to be surprised. I want to have a nice pop. I don't want to overanalyze it and say, oh, I was right. I don't want that. I'm trying not to think about what's going to happen, because I want them to show me what's going to happen, and I want to have a genuine reaction to how the story probably doesn't end, but at least progresses at WrestleMania.
I need a Josh bold prediction.
I don't want to give one. I don't want to give one. I don't want to, because I don't have a bold prediction, because we all know probably what's going to happen. It's going to be the tag match. Oh.
I'm interested to see what happens with that.
Cody and Roman are going to win the tag match, is what I think is going to happen.
Cody and Roman?
The Rock and Roman are going to win the tag match.
Is that your bold prediction? They're going to team up?
The Rock and Roman are going to win the tag match. And then The Rock is going to rock bottom solo to take him out of the main event. So it's truly going to be, he talks all this about bloodline rules. He's going to dismantle the other members of the bloodline to make it a one-on-one match still between Cody and Roman. And then Cody wins the title fair and square without any interference. That's what I think is going to happen.
Either the tag match, either Stone Cold is going to thwart bloodline shenanigans and lead to Rollins and Rhodes winning, setting up the one-on-one, or on night 2 for bloodline rules, whenever the shenanigans lead to a bloodline referee slapping the mat twice before the third one. I'm still maintaining, if it doesn't happen on night 1, that's when the glass is going to shatter and Stone Cold is going to clean house and The Rock is going to do a triple backflip over the rope and then over the guardrail to sell the stunner.
So this is what this reeks of. For our 4 viewers out there, for years, Wade said The Rock at pretty much every pay-per-view, The Rock's going to come out of this one. He's going to come out. And he eventually got it right. Actually, I don't even know if you predicted it. I think the one where you finally when you didn't predict it, the Rock comes out. And this reeks of that. So now that The Rock has come out, it's time for the next 2 to 3 years for every pay-per-view, Wade saying, Stone Cold's coming out. Stone Cold's going to come out and do something. I hope you're right. Because if I hear that glass shatter, I may probably cry, which is I'm glad we're not going to be live streaming WrestleMania, because they don't want to see a man in his late 30s crying over Stone Cold, but I will. I would love to see that happen. I don't know if it's going to. As much as I'd like it to, Stone Cold could possibly just be working out because he's in his 50s and wants to live. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But enough of that. On to the LWO getting 2 matches in 1 week versus LDF, Legado del Fantasma.
I love watching those matches, man.
Here's my issue. I knew who was going to win instantly because they didn't show LWO's entrance. And it was they came back from a commercial break and they were just in the ring. And whenever anyone's just in the ring, they're not going to win. It's rarely. They're rarely going to win.
Right. And no, you're spot on with that. But I think in this case, if the whispers are correct, that there were some time constraint issues due to the length of the Great Ones promo. So
fair enough. Okay, I could see that. It was long. I didn't even mention it's so long that we could probably spend an hour talking about it. I didn't even mention the guitar player and the harmonica player that he brought out with him to sing a song.
Oh yeah, he did a rock show, didn't he?
He did. Yeah. He
Yeah.
had written his song, did not come off the top, wrote it and read it. It's fine. But anyways, I don't want to talk more about that. So LW versus LDF. The spot that I was talking about earlier, when we talked about NXT, where LWO jumped. I can't remember who jumped. Now I can't remember who jumped. I'm pretty sure it was LWO. They jumped over the top ropes onto LDF and did a flip and completely missed their target. And LDF had to go back and grab them and then fall on the ground. And then, when they get up and act like, oh, yeah, we really hurt them. And no, you didn't. You missed them and they caught you. And it happens. I get it. But you got to find a better way to sell it when there's a mistake. Then you don't get up all pumped up and fired up. Like you didn't hurt anyone. You grabbed him, you grazed him with the back of your shoe, and he caught you. Okay, like you're fine, he's fine. Just get back up and keep fighting. Outside of that, and one spot where LWO, one of the members of LWO, had one of the members of LDF in the corner, and he goes to run against to the turnbuckle and jump up. His foot kind of slipped and he went like through the rope by accident. He played it off very well, so it wasn't that bad of a botch, but it was 2 botches in that match, and it sounds like that there were botches in their NXT performance as well. So they need to clean that up because I think that they are talented, but they need to clean that up. Despite what may have been the reason for the missing entrance, they did get the L. They did take the L. So LDF got the win. It was a good match outside of those 2 botches. I'm always going to be entertained by that style of wrestling. The lucha style of wrestling. It's great. It's a great style. It's a nice change of pace when you get the smaller guys in there and those guys aren't that small, but when you get the smaller guys in there to do all the things that they do, it's good. It's good to see. So I could watch lucha wrestling all day, especially when it's done well. So all in all, good match.
Did Ray come out
match.
And Carlito?
No.
Okay.
Not this week. They came out at SmackDown last week, but not this week. On to the next segment, which was Randy Orton versus Grayson Waller. We have an opportunity to see the stunner into RKO that Austin Theory sold.
I did not, but did he sell it as well as KSI being dead after
KSI did a good job?
Oh, that was amazing.
There's only 2 ways to sell it. You got to go over the top. You got to completely die, and he chose to completely die, and I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that.
I love that stuff.
So Kevin Owens came down during their match, and he hit Austin Theory with the stunner. Austin Theory, similar to the stunner that he took at WrestleMania when he took it from, who did he take it from? Stone Cold or Kevin Owens before. But it could have been Kevin Owens. I don't remember who he took it from. But
no, it was probably after the McAfee match when Stone Cold came out.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. He took it, and just like that, he bounced up, and then Randy Orton came out of nowhere and RKO'd him off the bounce up from the stunner. It was very good.
Did he flip him in the air to do it face down, or how did he do that?
He stunned him, do it? And then he jumped up out of the stunner and got his body vertical enough that Randy Orton could come out of nowhere and RKO him off of him getting dazed by the stunner. So watch it.
Yeah, I guess what I'm thinking is if he does it like most of them when they go up in the air and start going backwards, if Orton had to flip him to get him face down.
So he went up and went, I guess, instead of going like this, he went like this.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, and then he caught him with it. It wasn't perfect because you could, instead of bouncing up, he kind of jumped up. So it definitely wasn't perfect, but it was still a very good stunner. It was still a very good stunner. Not very good stunner. Very good RKO. If we're being honest, Kevin Owens' stunner's terrible, but it was a very good RKO. And
I don't think it's terrible.
It's not great.
I don't think it's terrible.
It's not me and you in the backyard growing up.
I was going to say not as good as mine, but still,
Yeah. But it wasn't that great of a match. There was a lot going on. Right before LA Knight challenged AJ Styles to a match at WrestleMania. Styles came down, attacked him with a chair, and then accepted the match. And
we all know where that's going. And I don't want them to have a chairs match. I want it to be a straight up match between two good wrestlers. But all the stuff with AJ attacking him with the chair continuously, we all know where that's going.
Yeah. I mean, you're probably right. But, and
I don't think it's necessary.
What are you going to do?
It's just not necessary. Put them because, I'll get to in a minute when you bring up Jimmy Uso, the second part of what I'm about to say. I think Knight versus Styles should be the first match in one of the two nights. And obviously we'll get to shortly what I think the other one should be. But I think those two should be kicking off because I think both of those would be very good ways to start off the show.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be a chairs match, dude. I just don't. I don't think.
Yeah, I think it's people getting hit by chairs. We don't need it.
I think it's complete. And with those two guys, they're good wrestlers. Let them have just a good match. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They don't need a chair stipulation. But I mean, all signs from the promos for it and the attacks. I mean, it's coming. Now, if it's a chair on a pole match, I would like that.
The chair on the pole, the winner gets custody of Luke Gallows.
Yes.
All right. Then
we could be hanging in a shark cage.
The next two matches, I mean, they were throwaways, but Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar, not that good. It was not that good of a match. It was not very good. It was not very good, and it was also not very long. It was they left a lot to be desired, and I expected more from two talented competitors. But
again, we possibility on a 2-hour show when 30 minutes of it goes to the opening promo. Why that could have been?
Yeah. Now that I'm remembering, Carlito and Ray did come out for this match. So they did come out for this match.
Okay.
I had forgotten about that. They came out to defend Dragon Lee, but they did come out for this match. So we did get to see Carlito, who's another man similar to Drew McIntyre and Jinder Mahal, who's twice the size of the Carlito that I remember when he originally wrestled. He's absolutely jacked right now, and good on him. Looking good in his late 40s or however old he is.
But dude, see, and that's the thing, man. I don't know enough about working out and stuff like that. But the thing with Carlito, he looked a little bit, he looked in great shape, but he looked thicker, like, just older and putting on weight. And then looked to me like he converted that into like just shredding that up, by doing weights and stuff.
He could have gotten to where he got realistically, because when he wrestled originally, he was never skinny. He was just doughy. But no, not Jinder and not Drew. I'll never understand how Drew went from where he was to this, or how Jinder went from where he was to this body.
Working out.
No. Yeah, okay. Okay.
Working out.
Well, they have a wellness policy, so, I guess they get tested.
Yes, they do. And they passed. I'm not convinced McIntyre's on steroids. I'm not. He's a big dude. But
he wasn't always a big dude.
Maybe he didn't.
Original run Drew was not a big guy.
Maybe original run Drew wasn't hitting the gym.
Maybe. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I won't. New Catch Republic versus Pretty Deadly was the next match, and that was another pretty much throwaway match. There wasn't much to it, but it was much better than Dragon Lee and in the previous match. Not much to talk about here. Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne are uber talented. They're just great in ring. They have a great ring psychology that's very tough to teach. They're just very good at what they do. I'm hoping that they get an opportunity to take that next step. I think that Pete, if they're going to stay as a tag team, I want them to take that next step. I think that if they use Pete Dunne properly, that he could have a nice singles run. I would love to see
absolutely
Pete Dunne versus Gunther on the main roster. I would love to see that. I would love for Pete Dunne to have gotten an opportunity during that gauntlet match on Raw. But it wouldn't quite fit the storyline that we're in right now. But who cares?
And JD McDonough and Ricochet coming out of nowhere did.
Made perfect sense.
Yeah, okay.
Now, next was Bayley versus Dakota Kai, and it was good to see Bayley getting cheered again, because I think that she's a great heel, but man, she's a great babyface. So it was great to see her getting cheered again. Dakota Kai, she's very talented too. I like Dakota Kai, but Bayley's just again, we talked about this I think in the first episode. You can always tell when a person just loves wrestling, loves the WWE, just in the way that they handle themselves and the way that they wrestle. I mean, you can tell that Bayley has watched this product as long as we have. I mean, she's watched it her entire life, and it just shows in her ring work. It shows in her when she's on the mic. I could just never see Bayley doing what Sasha Banks did, just leaving the company. I just can't see her doing that. Which, by the way, did you see who is All Elite? The CEO herself. And I bring this up more because did you see who was in attendance in disguise to watch Mercedes Moné debut
money
at AEW? Did you see who was in disguise in attendance?
I did not. I mean, I did see where she finally made the day. I mean, everybody knew that was coming. That whole event in Boston was centered around that. But I did see she made the debut. But I did not. Was it Bayley?
It was Bayley.
Okay.
Bayley with her friend Tamina Snuka and Trinity Fatu were all in disguise to watch their friend debut for AEW. So Naomi, if you had put a gun to my head, I would have said Tamina was dead, but no, she's not. She was in a mask in the crowd. They posted a video of them putting on their masks to go into the crowd. That's the only reason I know this, but
No, I
yeah,
didn't hear anything about that.
they were there to support her friend. Did you also see that AEW had to pipe in a lot of noise, a lot of fake CEO chants because the crowd was not chanting CEO the way that they wanted them to.
I did not. The only thing I read was that the crowd was pretty behind her. I mean, which should be expected up there.
It started out, but they had her go to the Rock's and Undertaker's school of coming to the ring, so she walked very slowly, and the crowd, by the time she got halfway down the ramp, did not appear to have the same steam that they did originally. So her theme song there had, the chanting of CEO as if it was coming from the crowd, but it was just coming from the speakers that they had provided. But good on her. She was never my favorite. Always hurt. Great in-ring worker when healthy, but
I still hate that they couldn't. I thought for sure when Triple H came back but hey, I mean, if they didn't think it was a financially good move, then I mean, hey, again, it's a business, and
because she wanted more than Charlotte Flair, so
yeah, and
she ain't no Charlotte if you ask me. But anyways, back to WWE. I thought that Bayley did a great job. She won by DQ. It was a good match. And
what was the DQ?
Interference. damage control.
They beat her down.
Yeah. Held her up by her arms and legs and got her with a nice little moonsault. But yeah. It was DQ, which was to be expected. But prior to the DQ, it's good fun. It's good fun. This was the main event. So to entrust, it's always good when the women, especially when it's women that aren't Charlotte or Becky, getting a main event for anything. I always appreciate that. So good for Bayley. I think that she's one of the most talented women that the roster has, and glad she got to main event SmackDown.
Yeah, when me and the family went and saw WWE on the road and Mobile, and I don't know if it was for the whole house show circuit, but it was I think it was supposed to be a different match. I think it was supposed to be like a fatal 4-way, but it ended up being Charlotte versus Bayley was the main event for the house show, and of course, they're going to put on a great show, and then it turned into like an impromptu street fight, and Charlotte got the table out and everything, and everyone went nuts. But again, when you've got two good trusted workers, Bayley can main event any show any day and be trusted to put on a good showing. And I hope they don't do a drawn out, she'll get the win next year thing like they did with Cody. I hope they just pull the trigger and do it.
No, I think they will. They will.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that match though too. And man, in terms of so that was the main. Oh, what about Jimmy Uso's response, Josh? What happened there?
Oh yeah, there's going to be a match at WrestleMania between Jimmy and Jey Uso.
What, dude? The more I'm thinking about it, though, man, it's going to be tough. Who opens up the show? Because I think Jimmy versus Jey should definitely open up one of the two nights.
Well, here I agree. I think it should open up night one. because then it's going to open the doors for their involvement in one of the two main events from night 1 or 2. And I think that if you leave it until night 2 to open the show, I think it takes an element out, because then it's less likely they're going to play a role in the tag match on night 1. So I think they should open up night 1. And yeah, I was trying to think of anything to add to that. I think it's going to be night 1. And then night 2 should be opened by...
Dude, you got 3 main titles. Like, I mean, you got both women's titles.
Gunther Zane. I think Gunther Zane opens night. It should open night 2. I think that'll be a nice, fun way to start. I think that they are two trusted workers that will put on a nice pace-making show that'll get the crowd just completely amped for the rest of the night. So I think Gunther Zane 2, Jimmy J 1.
Man, I just... Where are Rhea and Becky going to go?
They have the unenviable task of setting this up, and I don't know how they're going to do it, because I could also see a world where when are Seth and Drew going to go? Because you have to. So that's why I don't. Can the tag match open night 1?
No. That's got to be the main event. That's got to be. It's The Rock. It's The Rock's first
But you
match
say that
in 10 years.
The WrestleMania that we went to, Brock Lesnar opened the show. So, I mean, yeah, I know you
but that's different, though, man. That was pre the 2-night thing, and everybody already knew the main event of that was going to be Charlotte, Ronda, and Becky at WrestleMania, and right, did I say that right? WrestleMania, and then Kofi Mania was all in the same thing. But I thought that was, because Brock's matches are never that long, but that was a good pace, and the turnaround, and the way Paul Heyman came in and did that whole thing with, because that was in the middle of, is he going back to UFC? What's he doing? And his promo was like, we're catching a flight to Vegas after this. And
yeah, that's a good point. But I guess I'll say this: if they could structure that card, then they'll be fine structuring this one. And I don't know how they're going to do it, but the amount of talent that they had at 35 with that Triple H, Batista, Kurt Angle, Miz, Shane McMahon, if they could do that, they can get this card fine. But I don't know where they're going to go, because you got to give. If Seth is coming back, the only reason why I say it could it lead off is because Seth is coming back from an injury, and is that going to be his first match back? Is that going to be Seth? Are they going to give Seth a warm up, test his body before then? Because right now I'm thinking that may be his first match back, and they're asking him to go twice. So, just from a body perspective, the wear and tear of a match, you want to give him as much time as possible to recover for when he fights Drew McIntyre. So, and not to mention the fact that you got Roman, who, like I said, looks skinny. I hope his health is good. He's going to have 2 matches. Cody's going to have 2 matches. All these guys are going to have 2 matches. So don't you want to give them as much time as possible by maybe leading off the show so they have the recovery time to go to their second match? I feel like you want to give them as much time as you can before you get thrown to the wolves. I don't know. But you got 2 women's matches for titles. You got 2 men's matches for titles. You got the tag team match. You got Gunther. I mean, there's just so many options that it's
US
just going to be
right. Orton, Owens, and you got the star power of Logan Paul.
Yeah, you got that. Yeah, but I mean, we know that's not going to main event or open anything. But
I could see them opening with that, if I'm being honest. I would have no issue with that opening the show. I think that'd be a fun match to open the show. Get the. My point is,
I guess you're right in the sense that Logan is going to do something. He's going to He reminds me of Shane McMahon in the sense that he's going to do something that is going to shock the crowd. Whenever you watch a Shane McMahon match, you knew one thing was going to happen that was going to leave you I'm not going to say speechless, but it was going to leave you in awe. And Logan is always going to have one spot that is going to get people talking the next day. So I guess he could lead off a match.
And here's another reason too.
Or a night.
The Prime sponsorship, if that was real, which I'm sure it probably is, with the Prime thing going to be in the center of the ring.
I hope it's not, because that looks a little ridiculous.
I think it's awesome. And then the fact too that SummerSlam is in Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
And they had him make that big announcement on his podcast.
So Logan Paul versus The Miz, Cleveland versus Cleveland to go at it. Just kidding. Okay.
And so, I mean, my point is, they recognize what he brings to the table, not only because he's dedicated himself to the craft. I mean, I don't care what you think about the guy personally or the things he says and does. I think he has taken it seriously. He's a great talent, and I enjoyed every time he's gotten in the ring. And I think, and just you can't deny the additional viewers that he's brought and the additional interest. I mean, I would have never said Cleveland wouldn't have been on my list for SummerSlam. But the fact that, Logan Paul's involved, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
And so I could see him, in a sense, even if he didn't request it, him being essentially rewarded. Hey man, you're going to open up. We can't have you main event, but we're going to give you the opening match of one of these nights. Yeah. I could see that. And then too, I think Owens and Orton especially, or if they're not going to be in the main event, are deserving of opening up a WrestleMania 40.
I agree. I agree. Well, I think we can both agree it's going to be fun. However they decide to handle it, it's going to be a great show.
Dude, we haven't talked about, is Bianca Belair have a match yet for WrestleMania?
No. And I'm still wondering how they're going to handle Jade Cargill.
And I know
has she had her in-ring debut?
Just Royal Rumble.
So no.
No.
Like in a singles match. No.
And dude, and
we got 3 weeks.
Yeah. And I know we didn't discuss this because we didn't do one of these last week because I was out of town, but not this past Friday, but the Friday before. That was a weird interaction between Naomi and Bianca. That was weird. That was awkward. I don't know what was going on there with the whole feeling bad for Bayley and you were gone, you don't know what she did, that whole thing. I mean, I see where they were going with it, but just the interaction with them did not mesh at all.
No.
But I don't know if that's going to lead to something because, I mean, I think those two could put on a great match at Mania. But again, you didn't bring Jade Cargill in to do a one-off at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And
maybe she's not ready. She was always green in the ring. She had a nice presence, but she was always really green. Maybe she went to the Performance Center and they said, you're not ready for us to trust you in the ring yet.
But the fact that they, like you said, we only got a few weeks in. I mean, Bianca won the title last year from Becky, and I mean, still is great in the ring. I just don't see how they haven't announced for her a match yet.
I mean, they've got so much talent. They're so deep. There's going to be some people that ultimately are going to be left off, and I'm not saying that she should be one of them or is going to be one of them, but
I understand that about people being left off, and I know you're not implying that she's going to be, but But I mean, look at all the Cricket Wireless commercials centered around her, the 2K24 versions that are centered around her. The I'm missing something else. The her and Montez Ford's show on Hulu. I mean, she's got to have a match on there, man. She's got.
Give her a match against Nia. Start a program there. I want to see her put Nia on her shoulders.
They don't have the time. And isn't Bianca on SmackDown?
Who cares?
That's not gonna. I know. I would like it.
I want to see it.
Oh, and by the way, speaking of Nia, and again, this goes back a couple of weeks ago. I'm about to vent. There's under no circumstances where Nia Jax hits a leg drop off of the turnbuckle and does not win the match. That is completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care if it's Becky Lynch. I don't care who it is. That can't happen. They cannot diminish a maneuver like that. They can't. That should be a finishing move.
They can and they will.
I know, but that is. Do you agree with me that from a woman like Nia Jax that should be a finishing move?
I don't know how much Becky weighs, but it can't be more than 120 pounds. She's a toothpick. Nia's probably like 260, 270.
I don't know.
The funny thing is,
I'm looking it up right now.
They don't. You know that they don't post the women's weights. I'm sure you can find it, but like WWE doesn't put the weights out there like they would a man. She probably weighs twice as much as Becky. In real life, that leg drop, if it comes anywhere near her neck, she would have died. She'd
this
be
says
with
272.
God. Okay, so I'm right there.
Dude, and that's the thing, and yes, and I have issues too with, and granted, we all knew Rhea was going to win that match, but kicking out of the Annihilator, I mean, after taking like a big move, I think beforehand something else had happened, and I don't like it, man. But that late, and God, I wish we would have had a chance like the week of to discuss it when it happened. But dude, when I saw that happen, I was like, I cannot believe they're about to have somebody on an episode of Monday Night Raw kick out of that.
Yeah,
I mean that's just that's something one of the big 4 or 5, whatever, Rumble, SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, Mania, or Survivor Series. That's when that should be happening.
Yeah.
And now I don't have a problem with who kicked out of it, just because, yes, I know the weight discrepancy, but still, at the end of the day, Becky Lynch is Becky Lynch and completely over, and she's going to be those ones to do.
Kicker.
Yeah, she's going to do the Hogan Cena comebacks because that's the way she's built at this point. But I don't see how you waste something like that, a kick out of that on a Monday Night Raw.
Well, they stopped protecting their finishers a long time ago, so you should not be surprised.
But I still am, and it still makes me mad. That's why I was so happy when Lexus King won, partially with a knee to the back of the head falling by his finishing, and there was not a kick out.
Yeah.
But dude, so man, we got. Did they say anything about what did they say about the tag match thing, the ladder match? Did they announce? They have not announced the participants yet.
Everyone's going to be in it. No, there's going to be qualifiers.
I thought Booker T said something. I thought they mentioned something about DIY going to be in something with the tag, or maybe I thought they said something about that.
Let me see here. Tag match, ladder, WrestleMania, Friday night. 4 tag teams vied for the opportunity to compete at WrestleMania 40 for the And
you said this is going to be a 6-pack match at a 6-pack ladder match at WrestleMania. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Garza and Berto are going to be fighting New Catch Republic for one of the spots. Looks like the Street Profits are going to take on the Authors of Pain, while the OC will battle for a spot at WrestleMania against Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. So they have us. Looks like some already set up.
The OC. I thought they were setting up an angle with them because they did a promo on NXT this past week. I thought they were setting them up to go against the Wolf Dogs.
I don't know what you want to say. The OC will battle for a spot at WrestleMania against Austin Theory and Grayson Waller.
Yeah, I guess they may be pulling double duty.
Yeah.
Because the NXT event is is Sunday night. No way, I'm sorry. I think it's either Saturday before night 1 or Sunday before night 2, I believe. It's like an early afternoon thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just curious if something had got brought up by then. But yeah, man, it's going to be interesting to see who's left off of the card because at this point, with the way she's been performing in crowd reaction, I'm wondering if they're gonna put Tiffy Time on there.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I think she was absent from TV this week. I didn't see her.
Are they doing the Andre the Giant men's and women's battle royals?
They mentioned it.
Okay.
Did they have it last year? I don't know if they did.
I can't remember. And if they did, I don't remember who it was that won. I remember it being brought up recently, and they were showing some of the past winners, and I forgot that some of those people had won.
Oh, yeah, Bobby Lashley won.
Okay.
Was there a women's one? Wieners.
Because Carmella won when we were there.
But I think that was the only women's one that they did, and I think that was just because they just wanted to get people in a match.
Yeah, well, I mean, and hey, gets exposure to WrestleMania.
Yeah, but no, it was Bobby Lashley last year.
Man,
they need to get more like something better than a trophy, to something that makes it like people care, because I could care less about the first one was cool when Cesaro won and he like lifted up the Big Show. That was great.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of that, nothing really memorable from the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, in my opinion.
What about Shaq and Big Show's interaction?
Oh, I forgot about that. Was that at the Andre?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I think that was the next year. And then we never got a match from that. It just kind of went away.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, they've only got a few weeks, and they still got some big names out there who don't have any matches.
Jonathan Cena. He needs a match.
I think whatever he does is going to be like a one-off thing, like a quick.
Yeah.
Especially at this point, I mean, dude, because if he hadn't come out to build up a program yet, because by this time last year he had already been doing stuff with Austin Theory, and so I don't think a full out program's happening. I'm still going with he's gonna team up with R-Truth. I'm gonna go with that. Him and Truth versus McDonough and Dominic.
In a Firefly Funhouse match.
Yeah.
Guest referee, Bray Wyatt.
Oh, my God. We're getting canceled. Oh, man.
In the WWE 2K24, the premise is the 40 years of WrestleMania, and they've got the Firefly. They have the Firefly Funhouse match between him and John Cena in there where you can reenact it. It's pretty funny. Especially since you get to see John Cena wearing those Ruthless Aggression tights in the game.
I like the NWO gear.
Ruthless aggression. He's got that. He's got his thugonomic stuff. It's good. It's good. But who's else is gonna be left off? I don't know.
Yeah, we got the biggest one that sticks out to me right now though is Bianca, for sure.
Yeah.
That's
but you're right. With all the sponsors and all she does for the company, they might find a spot for her, or maybe they'll have her interfere in one of the matches to set up something for later on. I think she'll be there one way or another. Another option they could do is if the Street Profits lose this match, is they could have Montez Ford and Bianca Belair be the hosts. Why not? Have they announced who the host is going to be yet?
I don't believe so, and that's that's a possible role for Cena as well. As host, but
or the Miz. What's the Miz's role?
I have no idea.
He could do it again.
What was I going to say? With the Street Profits, though, I'm thinking that there's going to be it's them versus. I see that. You don't want this smoke. So it's them versus AOP. You said,
yeah.
And see, why do they do that leading up to it? Because hell, dude, I thought it was going to be a 3-on-3 match at Mania, Lashley and Street Profits versus the Final Testament.
It still could be. There's nothing stopping that from happening once they lose to AOP. It could still happen.
But I thought the winner of that goes on to the tag team match.
It does. What did you just say that you thought it was going to be?
No. I'm saying I'm surprised they're having that match on Friday because I thought the whole build up to this thing happening over the past couple of months was going to be the Final Testament versus Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
I don't know.
So that's okay. That's interesting. Unless the
internet could be wrong. It was on a reputable site.
No, I mean, very well could be. I mean, I think it would make more sense if those teams were facing other teams and they both cost the other a chance at the titles, and then they had the 3-on-3 matchup.
Yeah.
But man, it's crazy, man, how much talent is there, and even with a 2-night event, you're running the risk of people being left off.
It's always better to have this than the alternative, which is not having enough talent to fill the night. But
agreed,
they will find a way, and I'm sure it's going to fly right past the minds of us podcast idiots. But they're going to find a way to make it a great card, entertaining. Very rarely have I ever left a WrestleMania saying, "Oh, that sucked." I mean, even a bad WrestleMania, it's like pizza. Bad pizza's good. So I mean, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
I just can't wait to hear that glass shatter.
The glass shatters, and it's because it's Kurt Angle throwing Shane McMahon through plexiglass. Well, I think that wraps up episode 3 of the Golden Squeeze podcast. If you liked what you saw, hit that like button, go ahead and subscribe, and we will see everybody next week.
Good night.